Hello, I am with Katrina Hofstetter with Cornerstone Legal, and she's speaking to us today about some information about estate planning. And specifically, Katrina, will you share which legal documents do people think that they need, but they don't?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, by the way. So I commonly will hear from people that they think they need a will. A will seems to be that one big document that everybody thinks that they need. But when I actually dig deeper, when I have a conversation with them to figure out what their goal is or what their motivation is, it more often than not, it's that they want to avoid probate. And I end up inevitably having to burst that bubble because wills don't avoid probate. Wills actually only work when they go through probate court. And so that's probably the most common misconception that I see. People very often think they need a will, but the goal is to avoid probate. And so that's not really the document that you need if you're wanting to avoid probate.
If somebody wants to really avoid probate, what sort of documentations or what do they need?
Great question. There's kind of two different pathways that they can go, and this is how I generally will explain to clients in a consultation what their options are. So, beneficiary designations can help clients avoid probate, and it's important to understand that we need to look to the underlying assets when we are wondering whether or not we need to go through probate. So if you have beneficiaries on all of your assets, and if those beneficiaries, they're not minor children, they're not incapacitated or disabled, they're not going through a rough patch in life, or they haven't passed away before you, then that beneficiary designation can work and that asset can avoid probate. So that's kind of option one. And then the other big option is a trust. And trusts don't have to be long and complicated and scary, they can be real simple. But if your assets are part of a trust instead of being designated to a person, then a trust will help you avoid probate as well.
How does someone know whether they need a trust or can get by with beneficiary designations?
Yeah, it kind of depends. So when I work with clients, I'm always focused on what their goal is, what their ultimate goal might be, whether it is protection. So we're thinking beyond the goal of avoiding probate. Do they want protection? Some people really want to control from the grave, and that can be good and that can be bad. So it depends on what some of those long term goals are. And then it also depends on how secure somebody wants their planning to be. And I'm a strong advocate for I want the client to decide, I want them to be in control of that process because they're making an investment in their future. I think it needs to be their decision. And so if someone is comfortable with a little bit of risk, knowing that something could happen to their beneficiary, and then they have to really be on top of updating that and making sure things are changed, then beneficiary planning might work just fine for them. Um, Beneficiary planning also works really well for people who don't own real property, don't have businesses, don't have minor children to factor into, or maybe just don't have a lot of diversity. If somebody rents an apartment and has a car and just a couple of bank accounts, beneficiary planning is probably the way to go for them. But if someone's looking for more guarantee of protection to avoid probate, if they have minor children, special needs, disabled beneficiaries, they own a home, own a business, if there's a lot of complexity to the situation, even if there's not a lot of wealth, if there's a lot of complexity to it, then they might want to aim more toward the trust planning. So it depends on factors, but also really the individual person or the couple and what they're comfortable with.
Okay. One last question. You're never too young for a trust, correct?
No. And I work with young unmarried individuals who are maybe fresh out of college and they want some type of protection in place. I definitely work with people who have that kind of first big life change of having a baby or buying a house, and they're like, yep, we got to do this right now. But I also work with people who are new empty nesters and they've been thinking about it for 20 years, or they're beyond that. They're in their 70s or 80s and they just never prioritized it. So it really is an elective type of legal process where you're choosing to do it and you're never too young, you're never too old.
Well, and it's nice that you can meet them where they're at because,
Yep.
it's you don't know you need it until you're not here to help. So,
Right. Yeah,
well,
definitely.
we appreciate your time and always look forward to learning more. And if they want to learn more, we'll put more information below. She has a website, social media.